it's your girl Obi. So today I'll be talking about myself. So the topic is myself, and I'll be talking about how I became a doctor and what made me want to be a doctor. I would also be diving in a bit about my life here in the UK. Have I always wanted to live in the UK, or it's just something that came spontaneously? So I'll just be going through this. I have my other phone here that would list out the topics or the subtitles of the things that I wish to talk about. So if I do look at my phone, it's just because I want to get the topic right so that I don't deviate from the main topic. Yeah. Okay. So why did I choose this topic? I chose to talk about myself today because people just have to know who they are watching and what they are all about. And I get asked a lot if I'm a doctor or if I'm a nurse. People don't know what I do. People don't know how I came about it. People ask questions: Why medicine? Why did you choose to be a doctor? And we'll be diving into that right now. My upbringing. So I grew up in a family of six children. I'm the second to the last, and we grew up in Nigeria. So I'm Nigerian, raised in Nigeria, and I've always lived in Nigeria until I decided to do medicine. My goals in life when I was younger has always been to help people get better. I used to, be the one that would go and get the first aid kit and dress up wounds, get people to recovery, massage people's legs. It could be my mom, it could be my dad or my siblings, anyone that has an injury or has something, just because I've always had that zeal to always help people when they are poorly. They would always ask other people to ask me what my thought would be as young as I was, probably at the age of 6. And then when I became a teenager, let's say between the ages of 13 and 15, it became apparent that I wanted to be a doctor. So right from when I was small, right from the age of 6, I've always said I would be a doctor. But I knew for sure that medicine is my calling when I started seeing more of blood, started seeing more of, people that were suffering, and I just felt compelled to do something about it. I didn't know what I could do about it, but I knew that I could do something. I just didn't know what. I just wanted to ease people from their pain, from their suffering, and I remember when I was in my primary school, I was the health sorry, I was a health president. Like there's a health club, and I think I was a health president. And then when I went into, I was in first aid. I was in first aid club as well. So when I went into secondary school, I also joined first aid club. I was very very in tune with anything that had to do or resolved or revolved around health. So I was very much into health. So I've always wanted to be a doctor. It didn't come as the coercion from parents, because most parents from Africa, or most parents in Africa, would always want their children to do three of the great professions that pay in Africa. So it's either medicine or being a lawyer or being an engineer, something like that. So mine wasn't that at all. I've always wanted to be a doctor. In my primary 4, primary 5, with the first aid book. So I remember going to ask the teacher, the leader, the club leader, about the book. And I remember two of the teachers we are talking, and one disagreed that they won't give me the book, and the other teacher said, why? Is it because of the gory pictures in it, because of childbirth? Then I think we didn't know where children came from. This was in my primary 4 or 5. And I remember the teacher saying, oh, she's a girl. If she doesn't know it now, she will know it sometime. Just give her the book. The girl wants to learn. Nobody has ever asked you for it. Just give it to her. And she gave it to me. And when I went home, I read that book. It was so big. I think I read it under 2 days. So I'm a fast reader as well. So I read the book, and I, I was, I think I was traumatized at first, just because I was so young. For primary 4, I can't remember how old I was, but I was really young. But I was traumatized at what people go through with their body and health, and then that was how I came about knowing that there are different ways of delivering children. I actually thought that you deliver a child from your navel, but I guess it's not so. So yeah, but that did not derail me or set me back from being a doctor. That even made me want to be a doctor more. So it's always been there. It's never gone. I've always wanted to be a doctor since I can remember what doctor means. So it's always been there. But that aside, I've also always liked to look good. I liked people that looked good. As young as I was, I liked people that dressed well. So when I went to banks and see bankers, the way they were dressed, I was going to Zenith Bank with my mom or dad then because they bank there. And I saw the way they dressed. It was really beautiful. And I just admired them. And I also wanted to be a banker, not because I knew what the job was all about, just because of their dressing. So it was just about the dressing and how they looked. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is medicine is my profession, but looking good is my hobby. So yeah, I just like to dress up and take pictures when I can. So yeah. So this has always been my goals in life, being a doctor, um, being a Christian, a good Christian, um, and looking good. Having the things that I want and need in my life without having to struggle about it. This was how I thought and processed things years and years ago when I was younger. So yeah, those have been my goals in life, and I think it's still my goal, just that it's more refined now, and that will be a topic for next time. Yeah. So in other words, I've talked about my upbringing, my goals in life when I was younger, in my childhood days, my dream profession. My dream profession has always been to how has always been to be a doctor. So it's never changed, and it's always been that. So, why didn't I study in Nigeria? So, I'm going to start by saying that I've always thought that I would not study in Nigeria, right from when I was younger as well. So, that's a very weird thing because I didn't know how. But when people asked me, oh, where are you going to do your university? I just tell them, oh, it could be abroad. And I jokingly just say that just because I didn't like to tell people my private business. And if you're someone that you grew up in Nigeria, you would well know that you don't tell people your moves, you don't tell people your ambition, you don't tell people where you're going to. You just don't tell people that. You just tell them you don't know yet or choose not to even, you know, involve yourself in that conversation. But I find myself, just having fun and telling people, oh, I think I will study in Europe. Yeah, I think I just have to study in Europe. I don't know what I'm doing here. I wasn't even born here. So, just jokes, just, banters and all of that. And well, I took JAMB and my score wasn't enough to go into medicine, but I still did the JAMB screening, I think the university screening. And when the screening result came back, it still wasn't enough. I didn't get the cutoff mark for medicine. So I didn't get the cutoff mark for medicine. But so in Nigeria, when when I was filling my JAMB form, or is it the university of choice? So when you fill in the form, I think there is a place where they ask you what your profession of choice. I'm not sure how it is now. It's been years ago. So I think there is a place where you put your first profession of choice, first choice for your profession, something like that. So mine was medicine and surgery, and the second was your second choice. So I put medicine and surgery again, and I think my parents went through it. I think with my elder sisters and all of that, and they said no, it has to be a second profession of choice. So or course to study. Actually, I think it's first choice of course, and the second one is second choice of course. I'm sorry, guys. I really cannot remember now. Not because I don't even know if I was the one that filled it. To be honest, I can't remember right now. But the second one, I think someone put nursing, or they convinced me to put nursing. So I didn't get medicine, so I got my second choice, which was nursing, and I was livid. I was not happy about it. I've never seen myself to be a nurse. It's not like I have anything against being a nurse or against nurses. I just have never seen myself being one. I've always seen myself being a doctor, and in hindsight now, looking back, I can tell that that was my first experience of um, disappointment and depression, because I was just battling through a lot of things, that I won't be disclosing now. Maybe later on I will disclose it, but I was just going through a lot of things then. Not me personally, but it affected me. So, and I was when I got admission into that university to study nursing, my mind wasn't really there, just because I just didn't want to study nursing. I just wanted medicine. I just kept asking myself, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? I hated everything about it. I never saw myself being a nurse. And the funny thing is, in the first year, nurses and doctors, like student nurses and doctors, they were doing the same course. So our courses were always, entwined. It was together in the same hall and all of that. But I found myself leaning towards the student doctors, wanting to. I was just hanging out with them. You wouldn't even know that I was doing nursing, and I wasn't always in school because, like I said, I had other personal stuffs that was going through. So I would probably maybe twice in a week I'll be in school, and then I have to travel and then travel back home and all of that. So my mind, I didn't give it my all. I found the courses quite simple. When people were complaining it's so difficult or whatever, when I except the ones I missed, or if I'm there and they're teaching and the test or quiz comes, it sounded easy to me. It felt easy to me. Anyways, so yeah, so that was my first experience of Nigeria university, which I don't think is like a good enough experience because I wasn't there for more than 3 months, And so how did I find myself outside of Nigeria? So my dad, my mom, everyone always knew that I wanted to be a doctor, and I think when they hang out with friends or when they are in occasion with friends, when they ask, "Oh, where is your child now? Oh, she just took jam and all of that." Oh, so I think in one of those conversations with friends, somebody asked my dad, "Also, how is your daughter, the one that wanted to do medicine?" Oh, my dad said, "Oh, yeah, she's in university now." And his friend asked, "So what is she studying? Is she study? I'm sure she must be very happy she's studying medicine." And my dad told his friend that, well, he would hope so, but he knows that she's not happy. My father's friend was really, really disgruntled about it, as if it was his own daughter or it was his own child. He was not happy about it at all. He was so restless. You see, that is how God works. When God is involved in your life, I'm telling you, like, your steps will just be ordered by Him. You won't know how. You don't even have to know how or when. It's just gonna be done. I mean, He's your creator, and just imagine things going the way God wants it for you. And remember, His ways are the best. He always has the best thoughts for you. Anyways, so my dad's friend was so restless. That is, in hindsight, that is what I can see now. He was so restless that he had to start searching for universities. So, and that was how the university that I went to study, that was how it came about, because he searched and searched and searched. He made calls, you know, and he found one. And funny enough, they were coming to Nigeria to have interviews. And he called my dad. He told my dad about it. And my dad said his first expression was, "What? Who is gonna pay for that every semester? Nobody's gonna pay thousands of dollars every semester to study abroad. No, nobody's paying that." My father was like, I don't have that kind of money to spend on one child, to spend on one child when I have five more children to spend on, and you know most of them are either in university or just about to finish university, and some are still about to enter university. So my dad's friend told my dad, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know what? To tell you that I'm very serious, I'm ready to pay the application fee and the registration fee, something like that." But then it was $1,500 to apply or for registration. What was it for again? I think to secure your seat after you get the admission. So you have to pay registration. And then when you get the admission, you have to pay 1,500. I think it's 1,500 or 1,000. So you have to pay that to secure the seat, something like that. I'm not sure. But that is just secondary. There are other things that you have to pay for before even getting the admission, going for the interview, the hotel, settling the people that are the agents here in Nigeria. You know how Nigeria is, you have to pay this person, pay that person, even though you didn't have to pay it. So, anyways, by God's grace, I finally got to the interview. I finally got the admission, and this man paid it. This man paid paid what needs to be paid. Paid for my flight to travel with my dad. I think, yeah, he paid for it, and because he already did that, he made that first step to paying for registration and all of that, not the main tuition, I think the registration. My dad didn't have a choice than to, you know, pay the tuition. I'm not sure how the story, how, like, I don't want to mix things up. I don't know if he was the one that paid the first tuition or the second one, because there are 2 semesters anyways. So anyways, um, we didn't pay per semester, we paid per year. So it was a lot of money. He paid the whole thing. And that was how my journey started. So I had to travel to Hungary to study medicine. So that was how my journey as a doctor began. I left this university in Nigeria. Meanwhile, when all this was actually happening, I already wasn't going to classes in Nigeria. I could not be bothered. I just had something I was dealing with. I was not concentrating enough, so I wasn't there physically. So all this also, fell in place for my good. So yeah, so that was how I journeyed to Europe to study medicine. So someone will ask why Hungary? Hungry because that was what my dad's friend found at the time. So if it was the United Kingdom or United States, I would have still, by God's grace, gone there. But God knows why He chose Hungary for me. So that was what He found at the time. And those were the people coming for interviews. And those were the people ready to take admissions at that time.